What's in this thing?
Today we have the Zotac GTX 295. Released in early 2009, the GTX 295 was a high-end graphics card from NVIDIA, cost around £420 at launch, $500, and featured two graphics processing units on separate PCBs, much like the 7900 GX2, 7950 GX2, and the 9800 GX2. Each of the PCBs has 896 MB of memory for a total of 1792 MB. The GTX 295 has a core clock of 576 MHz, a shader clock of 1242 MHz, and a memory clock of 999 MHz. Let's get everything out of the box and have a look at what we get. There is of course the graphics card, a couple of cables for adapting power connectors, a SPDIF audio connector, a copy of race driver grid, an installation CD for the drivers, the user manual, and a booklet of warranty information. But all we're really bothered about is the graphics card. Let's get it out of the anti-static bag and remove the plastic protectors. Now we can start to disassemble. First, let's remove the screws from the side of the card, 3 on one side and 4 on the other. This means that we can remove the shroud, exposing both of the cards with a heatsink and fan in between. Next, let's remove the 21 screws from the bottom card, and then the same again from the top card. Finally, the screws from the PCIe slot cover. Now all of the screws are removed, the two PCBs can be separated. As you can see, there are indeed two completely separate PCBs, each with their own power connector, power delivery components, memory, and GPU. The cards link through an SLI style ribbon connector with a chip next to it facilitating. Let's start with cleaning the top PCB. I'll get the old thermal pad residue cleaned off, followed by the thermal compound from the GPU. Now the rest of the PCB can have a clean. Next, the bottom PCB. This is much the same. Now the old thermal compound and pad residue is cleaned away, we can have a look at the heatsink and fan assembly. I get the old thermal pads removed and clean the thermal paste off before giving the whole aluminium frame a clean. Now repeat for the other side. I also used some compressed air to clean out the heatsink fins and the fan. Now that everything is cleaned, we can start to reassemble. First, we need new thermal pads on the memory chips. There are 14 per card, each one being 64 MB of GDDR3. Now we have thermal pads applied. I'll get the cards linked and start to apply thermal paste. First on both of the GPUs, and then across the smaller components for display, SLI, and power delivery. Next, the cooler can be placed back onto one of the cards. Don't forget to connect the fan, and then the other can be folded over to contact the other side of the heatsink. Now we have both cards in place, it just needs screwing back together. First the top card, then the bottom, and finally the shroud with the 7 screws holding that in place. Now the card is all cleaned and back together and ready to go. Thanks for watching, hopefully this is useful to someone.